you for
Hello,
joining
guys.
today's press conference call with Governor Andrew Cuomo, Secretary to the Governor Melissa De Rosa. Now, I will turn it over to Governor Andrew Cuomo. Thank you.
Good morning, guys. It's all in the pronunciation. You can call me Cuomo. You can call me Cuomo. Andrew Cuomo and Melissa De Rosa. We wanted to do a quick briefing. I think there's some of you who wouldn't know what day of the week we're in if it wasn't for the briefing. So today is Saturday. That is a fact. That is not an opinion. I want to give you a quick briefing on COVID, but then we have exciting news to announce, which I wanted to relay to you. On the numbers for the COVID virus, we did about 68,000 tests yesterday on Friday, again, which is a very high amount of daily tests, but that's how we know exactly where we are. The overall rate was about 1%, which is just about where it's been. New York City was 1.1, which is where it was the day before on Thursday. Capital Region was 0.7, which is down a bit. Central New York was 0.6, which was down. Finger Lakes was 1.1, which is about flat. Long Island was 1.1, which is up a tick, but nothing extraordinary. Hudson Valley, same, 1.1. Mohawk Valley, 0.8, actually down. North Country, 0.4, up a tick, but nothing extraordinary. Southern Tier, 0.4, nothing extraordinary there. And Western New York, 0.8, which is just about flat. The 1% is 716 additional cases. In New York City, that means it's 391 tested positive yesterday, but that is all in keeping with where we were. So New York City is still on track to open up. So that's all good news. We had 24 deaths. Each one of them is in our thoughts and prayers. But that's basically the continuing the downward trajectory. So nothing extraordinary there, but we watch every day, and a serious caution flag because we're very aware of what's going on around this nation and around the globe, where we're seeing spikes of the virus everywhere. So remain diligent, feel good about what we've accomplished, but remember how we accomplished it, and keep the discipline and the intelligence, which is what brought us to this point. On the good news, and it's exciting news for me, and for a lot of fathers who will be celebrating Father's Day this weekend. This is going to be a welcome Father's Day gift. We're all hopeful that Major League Baseball will start their season or part of a season. They're in conversations now, and we're expecting updates this week as to the decision on Major League Baseball. There's discussions between the Major League Baseball Association and the players, but we're hopeful that we'll have baseball to enjoy this season. And I spoke to Hal Steinbrenner and Randy Levine of the Yankees, and I spoke to Jeff Wilpon of the Mets, and they are planning to have their spring training camp in New York. The Yankees will be at Yankee Stadium. The Mets will be at Citi Field for spring training. That is their plan. They're going forward with it. The state is going to review their protocols in place to make sure they're doing it safely and appropriately. But they're moving their spring training camp from Florida to New York. And I can't remember the last time we had spring training in New York. But this is really exciting news for us. Again, we're hopeful about the season overall, and we're really excited that the spring training camp is going to start here. The Mets are starting a soft training camp opening this week for players who want to start to get prepared. Again, they're all waiting a final decision from Major League Baseball that is still in discussions. but to have spring training in New York, that is a really great development. It's where I think they should always be, obviously. But in a bleak time and in a season that obviously has had significant hurdles to deal with, to have a spring training camp in New York, that is the first bit of really good news when it comes to baseball that we've had in a long time. So I'm excited. I want to thank the Yankees and the Mets for their consideration. I want to thank all New Yorkers for what they did, making this state a state that they could do their spring training in. And one of the reasons they're coming to New York is because the infection rate in New York is down low compared to other states, compared to Florida certainly. And that's a credit to all New Yorkers. So, good news, exciting news. We hope the Players Association of Major League Baseball makes a quick agreement. We will be at the front of the line to welcome them and to start the games. So we'd at least have something to watch on television and get that season going. And spring training here. I'm going to make it my business to go by, drop in, even if I'm uninvited. Just drop in. I'd love to see it. Thanks for taking the time to be with us. Let's take a couple of questions. But it's a beautiful day here in Albany, so let's take a couple of questions, then let's go enjoy the weekend.
Thank you. As a reminder, to ask a question, you will need to press star 1 on your telephone. Again, for our participants, it's star 1 to ask a question. Your first question comes from the line of Joshua Hoyas from ABC News. Please ask your question. Your line is open.
Hi, Mr. Governor. Thank you for doing this today. I think my question goes down to some of the concerns that were expressed regarding travel and people coming from out of state into the state of New York. At what point would you see yourself possibly making some restrictions on the number of people or the locations where people are traveling in from?
Yeah. We're watching the situation very carefully. We're watching it every day. These are all, for us in New York, decisions that we make on the science, on the numbers. So we're watching the viral infection rate in other states as well as our own. The viral infection rate in places like Florida is still increasing. Florida has a serious problem with the number of ICU beds that are being occupied, etc. So we're watching the other states, and we're also watching how many people are actually coming to New York from those states. What we're watching for is people looking to leave those states and come to New York, partially motivated by getting away from the virus spread. So if we start to see a large influx of people coming from one of the states that has a high transmission rate, that would be a cause for concern. And we're watching it day to day. There's no deadline on it. We're reacting to the facts as they develop. That's what the situation has been about from day one. No one has a crystal ball. No one knows what's going to happen. That's what makes it challenging to deal with. But get the facts every day, look at the facts, make a decision based on those facts. So that's what we're fearful of. that would be of concern if you had a large number of people starting to come. We haven't seen that yet. If we do see it, then we'll act accordingly.
Thank you. And your next question comes from the line of Ian Piquez from WANC. Your line is open. Please ask your question.
Hi, Governor. Given the fact that the Phillies and the Blue Jays just had to shut down their spring training facilities, what kind of safety precautions will be in place for the Mets and Yankees? And will it be a kind of bubble situation like the leagues are talking about where people are on site, they're not leaving? What's the setup going to be?
Well, we'll work through. The Mets and the Yankees have come up with a protocol. The Major League Baseball has been talking about taking the right precautions, and as you mentioned, they have their own set of precautions that they have designed. The teams then design their own protocols for their particular team and their particular circumstance. They were planning on the Florida training camps, which would have been one plan. Coming to New York will be a different plan. They're putting that in place now. What I said is that the state and the Department of Health will work with them to come up with a plan that works both for the team and meets the state requirements. We haven't done that yet because obviously the plan they might have to work in another state is different given the logistics of coming to New York. But I'm quite confident, and both teams have expressed that they will work cooperatively with the state and will come up with a plan that is mutually acceptable to the teams as well as the state.
Thank you. And your next question comes from the line of Jerry Barmesh from WABC Radio. Your line is open.
Hi, Governor. Thank you. It's weird not having you on the air today, so this is at least weaning you off a little bit. So this is helpful.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I would have had you guys go cold turkey, but this announcement about the spring training camp is so exciting. I wanted to do it myself.
Yeah, no, thank you. Picking up on what the other reporter said about a bubble, given what we've seen in New York and the amazing turnaround and what we're unfortunately seeing in other states, could a bubble be used for baseball in New York for other teams?
I don't know. It's specifically, we are open to looking at all sorts of creative solutions and plans, and we've been doing that all across the board. But I think it's important for professional sports. I've welcomed them all back. I said that we would work with all of them. I think that having sports, even if you don't have a crowd initially, just the fact that it's televised, that it's happening, that you can follow it, I think that's a return to normalcy. I think it's a great activity for people. And we're battling the virus, there's no doubt about that. But to the extent we can have entertainment and we can have sports and we can have something to look forward to, even with keeping people at home more, I think it helps people to stay at home. It helps to stay at home if you can watch a ball game on TV, or if you're watching tennis on TV, if those are the sports that you tend to follow. So I think it is beneficial all across the board. Of course, that means you're not running an undue risk with the sport itself, engaging the sport itself. But if you don't bring in a crowd, if you're not bringing in a large number of people, which is what we tend to watch, the congregate gatherings, which you can do, obviously, with most sports, then it's just positive. It's just positive all across the board. And I feel that way about Major League Baseball, certainly, but other sports also. I've reached out to many franchises, and I said that we're a ready, willing, and able partner. I think the difference is now, not only are we a ready, willing, and able partner, but we're in a state that right now has literally the lowest transmission rate in the country, right? New York made a dramatic turnaround. We had the worst infection rate, and now we have the best infection rate. You couldn't make this up. So I think New York now is especially attractive compared to the other states because we have such a low transmission rate. And this is a state that's ready, willing, and able to partner with sports teams so that they can play. And I think it's those two factors together. Also, they didn't say this to me, but Florida has a really difficult situation right now. And I think should be a cause of concern for anyone in Florida or for any sports team that wants to play there. I think that's just common sense. So I think you put all those factors together. I do want to make sure New Yorkers, though, don't get arrogant, and we don't lose our focus and our discipline, because that is what is working. It is the focus and the discipline, and we have to stay to that, because there's no secret to the formula here. It's been our social distancing, our mask wearing, it's been our controlled phase reopening. That's what's working. And that's what was always the smart formula. All this political discussion, reopen the economy, it was never a question of opening the economy or public health. That was never the question. That was just hyper political argumentation. It was always both. It was protecting public health and reopening the economy. The question was always how, not if. How do you reopen the economy in a way where you protect public health? And my point was always you have to do both, because if you don't do both, you don't do either, meaning rush to reopen the economy, then you're going to have the infection rate go up, and that then is going to slow the economy. Reopening the economy in a rushed way was bad economic policy, because then you started to reopen, and the numbers went up, and then the financial markets went down. So even for those people who said it's all about the economy, it was a mistake to do the reopening in an unintelligent way, because when the virus went up, they hurt the economy even worse. The instability caused by the viral spike hurt the economy. The lack of consumer confidence when the virus goes up hurt the economy. The panic in people when the virus goes up hurts the economy. So even those people who wanted to open the economy made a terrible mistake, because they actually wound up hurting the economy. But anyway, yeah, to the extent we can facilitate states, and to the extent they want to be here because our transmission is going down, God bless. Please call. We'll figure it out. Okay. Thank you all very much. I want to thank the Yankees. I want to thank the Mets. Hal Steinbrenner, thank you very much. Randy Levine, thank you very much. Jeff Wilpon, thank you very much. Major League Baseball, thank you. Yankees organization, thank you. Mets organization, thank you. I hope Major League Baseball announces a settlement and a resolution, and I can't wait to see spring training in New York. Great news. Happy Father's Day for all those fathers who will be celebrating this weekend. I'm one of them. Secretary DeRosa, do you have anything to add?
Nope, nothing here. Happy Father's Day, Governor, and thank you all for joining us.
Thank you, guys. Thanks. Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes today's conference call. Thank you for participating. You may now disconnect.